Portland and Multnomah County leaders met again recently to reveal the next steps in their homelessness response plan. Ending unsheltered homelessness by the end of the year is a priority for Portland Mayor Keith Wilson, despite budget pressures at both the city and the county. So is there any chance that Mayor Wilson will reach his goal? If he does, Lance Orton will be part of that solution. Orton is executive director of CityTeam Portland, a nonprofit that offers shelter, housing, and recovery services in the city. Orton is also chairman of the board of Mayor Wilson's public-private initiative, Shelter Portland. Lance Orton, welcome to Eye on Northwest Politics.
Pleasure to be here, Ken.
Now, the issue of homelessness is personal for you, so tell us your story and how did that lead you to what you're doing now?
Yes, definitely not a career path that I would recommend to others, but this is where it led me. 2018, I was addicted to heroin. I was bouncing from city to city, running from my problems, and I wound up in Portland, living in the back of my Jeep. I had all the problems that you can imagine associated with addiction. I had warrants for my arrest in counties, multiple counties. I had drug dealers after me. I had no insurance. I had no money, and I was living in the back of my Jeep in a Walmart parking lot. And I tried to detox myself for 5 days, and that didn't work. On day 5, I realized that I just needed one more fix. And so through a process of trying to get more drugs, a drug dealer that I owed money to found me, and at gunpoint robbed my Jeep, took everything I owned, including my identity, my social security card, birth certificate, everything I had that showed that I existed was in that glove box, and it drove away. So now I'm standing here, this is October 1st, 2018, in a city that I didn't know anyone, and that was the beginning of my sobriety journey. That led me through the hospital. Many people that are homeless wind up in the hospital because it's a safe place to be as an alternative to the streets. There was nothing really wrong with me, and once they realized that, they handed me a voucher to the CityTeam emergency shelter. And so that's how I wound up at the front doorsteps of CityTeam.
What does CityTeam do, and how do you work with other agencies trying to deal with homelessness, say, for instance, Central City Concern or an organization like that?
Yeah, so we're a small part of the big continuum of care, and organizations like Central City Concern and Urban Alchemy and Union Gospel Mission, Blanchet House, we all work together to accomplish the same goal. CityTeam specifically's kind of sweet spot is men's recovery program. We have an emergency shelter that I wound up in. All I knew is that I needed a place to stay. I didn't really know that I needed sobriety or recovery. After about 3 days of going through the shelter process, someone in the recovery program came up to me and said, hey, you look like you could use some help beyond shelter. We've got this year-long recovery program. It's free. We'll help you through your addiction. We'll walk you through the 12-step program, and we'll help you get a job. And I remember saying, I have no money, no ID, no insurance, warrants for my arrest. The pathway back to society seemed so far, and they said, don't worry, we'll take care of all of that. And so I wound up going upstairs and lived in that program. So through that process, I learned a little bit about the continuum of care. So CityTeam does really good in the recovery element, residential programs. Workforce development is a big piece of that, and that's where Central City Concern comes in, and Urban Alchemy. Many of the men that graduate our programs wind up going to work within that continuum of care.
Now, CityTeam recently paid $4.7 million for the Overland building in Old Town. You're moving from inner southeast Portland. What's going to be there, and how will that help the homeless response?
Yes, so we're really excited about this. This purchase, it's an office to residential conversion, one of the first of its kind in the city of Portland, and it's a response to a capacity need that we have. As you know, Oregon ranks in the very, very last in our nation as access to recovery services. And our current building in the Central East Side, we've been there since 1998. It's an old unreinforced masonry building that's got about 60 beds in it. Every bed is full every single day. And so this new purchase will allow us to expand to 110 beds, expanding our recovery program, providing a second level of care after the residential program. So when men graduate that program, instead of just giving a certificate like was given to me and said, good luck out there, we'll have another layer of long-term sober living where individuals can stay there for up to another 18 months as they work, save money, and learn how to balance that new work recovery life.
How much is drug addiction tied to homelessness in this city?
I'm glad you asked. I personally think that it's tied a lot more than people say. The narrative out there is much more focused on the cost of high living in Portland and a lack of affordable housing, and those things are all very, very true. In my experience, though, and personally, addiction plays a really big role in homelessness. And I can say my addiction caused my homelessness. Had I not been using drugs, addicted to heroin, I would have been employable. I've always been able to find a place to live. And while we need more housing and we need more access to treatment, I really believe that addiction plays a really big role. And that's what we see in our programs today.
You are privy to the homelessness response plan meetings, and I know you're in a lot of those meetings currently. What are your thoughts about the priorities that came out of those meetings, and are the city and the county finally on the same page when it comes to addressing homelessness?
I don't think I can go as far to say they're on the same page. I know Mayor Wilson is doing everything he can to get everyone to play nice together, and there's a lot of pushback on the shelter versus long-term affordable housing. And I think that one of the key things that we're seeing now that's different in the past is there's a real sense of collaboration about people rallying together behind the scenes, really. Everyone's focused on what the mayor's doing, popping up these emergency shelters. But just like in my story, shelter is a really great place to start to enter into that long-term continuum of care. Addiction, mental health, homelessness falls under the county's role. So the fact that the city is even playing a role in that, it's kind of an unfortunate situation because the city really shouldn't have to play the bigger role that they are. But I think that as the mayor continues to unroll his plan, which he does have a very good plan, I think you're going to see entities like the county fall in line and start to support that. And we're seeing that already.
Yeah, part of the issue with homelessness is neighborhoods saying not in my backyard in terms of the solutions. We saw this recently with the opening of a new shelter in the Pearl District. So how do we get people housed off the street without impacting the livability of Portland neighborhoods?
That is the magic question, right? And it's a puzzle. I can tell you that the shelter that we've operated in the Central East Side since 1998, we have the cleanest block in the entire Central East Side. It's about managing the area in which you operate and taking pride in that neighborhood. I think that it is a challenge, and there's got to be a lot of wraparound services. There's got to be a lot of community involvement. We have volunteers coming into our shelter regularly from the neighborhood. We're cleaning it up every single day, multiple times a day. I think that it is a challenge. If I put myself as a Pearl resident and a shelter's opening right next to my building, yes, I'm going to have concerns, absolutely. But we're in a crisis right now. This is not a forever thing. This is let's get people off the street, put them in shelters. Then the in-reach and the outreach workers can come in, talk to those people just like they did when I was in the shelter, and then get them into the next steps.
Yeah, we've got only a few seconds left, but this is a short answer. Can Mayor Wilson achieve his goal of ending unsheltered homelessness by the end of this year?
I don't think I can answer that, but I will tell you this. He is certainly not going to stop trying until it's done. And I think it's important that we get behind him.
Lance Orton from CityTeam, thank you very much. I appreciate you being here on Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thank you, Ken.